Capricorn friends, I'm Annie Botticelli, and welcome to my Capricorn August 2025 astrology horoscope forecast. Well, we're entering a very powerful time, eclipse season, where a rift in the matrix allows you to slip into a new destiny. I will not only explain the astrology of this, but I'm also going to explain the astronomy and the physics of this. This is for you if Capricorn is your sun sign, your moon sign, your rising sign, or any other Capricorn placement you're listening for. What I'm going to talk about here is part of your astrological picture. And if your cap placement is a late degree cap placement, so birthdays like January 15th through the rest of the sign, or cap placements 23 degrees through the rest of the sign, I suggest you additionally listen to my Aquarius report, as you very late degree Aquarius friends or Capricorn friends will benefit from both readings. I am also a late degree cap myself, so all of the things I'm reading here for you all, I'm reading for myself. All right, so let's get into it and let's have a slow build here. About factors that are more mundane, more simple, more superficial in a way, but that you'll definitely be feeling and you can fully utilize. Also, it may explain a lot of things once you start going through it as to what the heck's going on. And then we're going to build into these deeper astronomical physics lesson-based realities of the eclipse cycle that we're in, because we do have two eclipses. September 7th, we've got the full moon lunar eclipse at 15 degrees Pisces. September 21st, we have the black moon, new moon solar eclipse on September 21st at 29 degrees of Virgo. But we have to talk about them now because when the sun gets into a certain sacred geometrical configuration with this alignment that is pending, it starts to activate the alignment. Okay, so there's an orb of energy building up to the exact lineup of the sun, moon, and the earth that has real and measurable effects on us, and we will see that in August. Okay, that's why we have to talk about it now, not just in September. So we'll build up to that. So the first thing, we're in Leo season. Very simple translation here. We've got the Sun, Mercury retrograde, so extra emphasis here on Leo. It's a time to be bold. It's a time for fire. It's a time to be assertive, and that may really manifest in Capricorn space of your joint finances and your relationship space. Now, this is an awkward angle for Cap, so you could have some run-ins with in-laws. You could have something where you've got shared finances somehow, or shared collaborations, or something spousal or family related that could have a point of conflict that has to be worked through. Mercury retrograde is notorious for bringing up things that have been swept under the rug, and egos may flare at this time. But of course, I think everything is purposeful. So with this assertive energy, possibly a little bit dramatic, it can bring things out that were kind of the elephant in the room that weren't discussed, and it can clear the air. That is the point of all of this, for things like an abscess to come out rather than festering. This is the kind of energy we're working with this Sun and Mercury. So it's nothing to fear. It is something to understand, and when it happens, you'll get it now. A nicer manifestation of this energy can be highly creative applications within your financial world. So if you need to do some creative financing, if you need to, have some assertive discussions about those types of things, Leo will give you that bravery and that impetus to make those things happen. Also, is the creative sector. So if there have been problems in these arenas, you may be able to apply creative ideas to resolve them. Now, we've got a lot of energy in the relationship sector for Cap at this time. We have Venus in the sign of Cancer, which lights up your 7th house of relationships. And we've got Jupiter now new into Cancer for the next year, lighting up your house of relationships. And Cap's house of relationships is ruled by the energy of Cancer, which is home and family. Something that people who don't know Capricorns well don't realize is that most Cappies do what they do, climb the mountain, for somebody else. We climb it for our families. We climb it, for the people who are who are relying on us in business, personal, and otherwise. And so we're going to go through this very strong expansion process, highlighted extra with Venus here for this month, of going into deeper relationships with our families, going into deeper relationships, period, adding more quiet emotional connection to the relationship space, and, really focusing very much on establishing things with our home and housing and real estate. And this is also going to be a really great time for expanding your reach, right? If you are someone who relies on clients or interactions with others, your world is about to be spun wide open over the next couple of years. Your number of contacts of people that you know and that you connect with are going to expand dramatically. And this month we have an extra boost of that, not only related to romance, but also related to money. So be on the lookout, because anyone can be a key to your future right now. And especially people who pop up from the past may be of specific significance because of the retrograde. Now I'm just going to do a little retrograde timing here so you understand what's happening. July, we had pre-shadow retrograde and then retrograde. August 11th, Mercury goes direct. It is in its post-shadow phase until August 26th, when it will clear and be nice and open again for your big decisions and, your big things, which is perfect because September, the eclipses will come and we'll be able to do more with the information, as it gets closer there. But if you start getting eclipse news now, you may not know what to do with it because you may not have all the information. So if you have to make some big decisions, just remember you'll have more clarity and oomph for longer term things and things that stick August 26th then on. Before then, things might be a little bit challenging to schedule, and you'll notice that you're doing a lot of rescheduling. There'll be a lot of confusion, and things that you figure out then may be reversed or called into question. Okay, so Mars is going to be in Virgo for a little while longer, and that's at the beginning of the month. So use that energy if you're feeling determined to work on something or to get some stuff done, because after that, Mars will move into mental Libra, the space of ideas. Now it's in the space of actions, tangible, productive actions, which matches your Capricorn manifestations. Okay, so it's going to be a little bit harder to get certain things done from the perspective of Mars as the month progresses, even though the clarity will progress as the month progresses. Okay, if that makes sense. And then you'll move into the world of ideas, and Mars will be in Libra for a while. And that will further accentuate this focus on relationships that is already being shown by all of these other planets, okay? So your key to happiness and progress and everything else you want right now is in your relationships. We do also have a full moon at 17 degrees of Aquarius in the days around August 9th. And for Cappies, this is a money moon. Fullness, completion, fruition, possibly drama, coming in the days around August 9th as this full moon in Aquarius elucidates and brings out of the unconscious space things having to do with finances. Within the retrograde scope, this can bring money back from the past, money that was due to you. This can bring something that you've been wanting or that was taken or that was pending. It could bring it in. It could bring in an understanding about yourself with your finances and your perspectives that can offer forward movement. Okay, so this is something coming from the hidden realm into the realm of elucidation. It's going to center around finances specifically for Cappy. And in general, we're also going to see a big focus on Aquarius, which is friendships, networking, community-based projects, and things having to do with the internet. If you have to make a big purchase, unless you're getting a smoke and deal and just the energies are just leading you to a certain time and you have to trust it, if you're actively going to try to do that, later in the month is better. And the second half of the month, we actually have a lot of sweet aspects. So that's a double reason to put it off unless it's really naturally flowing earlier. Something really important to Cappies, I mentioned this before, I will be mentioning it a lot, is that Cappies are at crossroads. And the earlier you have Capricorn placements, the more that is true, because Saturn and Neptune newly in Aries, which, by the way, if you want to better understand Saturn and Neptune now in Aries, Jupiter in Cancer, Pluto in Aquarius, Uranus just got into Gemini. All of these outer planet changes in your personal chart, go to Annie B. Clarity, Annie, the letter B, clarity.com to get my outer planet transit report, because that can help you make more sense of what these planetary changes can be for you. But I'm going to give you a little bit here about Saturn and Neptune in Aries. This is putting you at a crossroads, okay? This is crossing a major cusp in the chart, the one that relates to home and family versus your work and your place out in the world. The signs are Aries versus Libra, so it relates to me versus we. So Cappies are going through, you know, a long-term crossroad experience where your things are changing, your roles are changing, the way that you've done things are changing, things in your family are changing, your home location may be changing. And, you know, you will have seen signs of this recently, and this will develop. Now, even if you're a later degree Cap, in the whole house chart, it is going to start activating this. So on some level, you will be feeling it as well. All right. So just look out for opportunities for very deep change in the arenas of home and family and relationships and your place out in the world. Okay, now I want to dive a little bit into, or a lot, into physics, astronomy, principles of physics, and as they relate to astrology. So astronomy is the observation of heavenly bodies, and astrology is this observation and how it is relevant to us as humans. And that's a multi-level art and science. So whenever I talk about, and if you've listened to my work for a while, you know that I've talked about, we see this principle, this physics principle at work. Energy is not created nor destroyed. It just changes form. We see this at eclipse time. Something major may exit your life at eclipse time. Something major will come into your life at eclipse time. And that space is filled with something big. And here we are in eclipse time. So the eclipse is in September. As I told you, there's a sacred geometrical orb of influence that starts revving up this alignment. And what happens when we have an alignment? Okay, so this is pretty cool. I was just at the Chicago Museum of Science and Natural History, and they had this really cool exhibit where you stand on, and this is what kind of prompted this discussion. Okay, so there I was standing on this this cool interactive floor. And so the law of general relativity, or the principle of general relativity, as offered by Einstein, says that time and space warp around things of mass. And the greater the mass, the more time and space is warped. That's why each planet has its own gravitational field. It's because of the warping of time and space around that mass, that thing of mass, okay? So in this exhibit, we were standing on this floor, and there were these sort of erratic, you know, things going fast and slow and just kind of moving around. Now I'm putting them in the air here, but they're on the ground, okay? Then as soon as you step onto the floor, they start moving towards you. And then before you know it, they're like starting to change around you. So the exhibit was supposed to show this principle of how time and space is literally warped around things of mass, okay? Now what happens when I always talk about very big things happening at eclipses and life-changing things and trajectory changes and how we can burn off a massive amount of karma in a short amount of time, that might sound woo-woo or metaphysical, and it is in a way metaphysical because we have experiences beyond the physical with this. But it's grounded in scientific laws that have been discovered. So when planets align, the sun, the moon, and the earth in a solar eclipse, lunar eclipse, it causes or it creates what's called a syzygy. Syzygy. Okay. I think I spelled it right. Syzygy. And that is basically a vector. Okay. So the alignment causes this straight line, this force that turns out to be different and greater than the individual constituents of the lineup. So basically the earth has its own gravitational field, the sun has its gravitational field, the moon has its gravitational field. And when they align in a line, their masses merge, basically. And when each of them had time and space warping around them individually, they have time and space warping in a greater way around them as they are united in one mass, basically, at that time. And that changes time and space. It really actually changes time and space, which can mean lifetimes of karma can evaporate in an instant. Or what seems like an instant, with the understandings and the perspective shifts that occur from this warping of space and time. This is a real event. I mean, I could go beyond this and talk about all of the ways we've got shadow bands and optical anomalies and visual distortion that occurs. And really our sense of reality is actually warped, because what literally happens is during these moments just before and after totality, like for a solar eclipse, for example, viewers may see shadow bands, and they're eerie, shimmering waves in the ground that are caused by the atmospheric turbulence and light interference from this gravitational force that has been created from the combination of these bodies. So it really, the optical effects really resemble heat waves or mirages or like a digital distortion. And it can feel, and it really actually is like supernatural or dreamlike. And that type of energy can echo out beyond just those moments. So this literal bending of light that occurs is like a cousin to the gravitational lensing here. So, it evokes this sense of bending of perception, and it is a bending of perception. And really what karma is perception. So when we have a perception of something that's so deeply rooted, whether we're conscious of it or not, we create a gravitational force of circumstances that pull these events to us to have a chance to change our mind, to have a chance to change our perception. And it is with this perceptual shift that everything can shift. And so you can be on one timeline, and then the eclipse comes, this syzygy occurs, and all of a sudden you're going over here now, because of the change in perspective, the change in perception, and the literal rift in the matrix is helping you to slip into another destiny. So wow, yeah? Usually I go easy on y'all and just kind of do some light physics and astronomy, but that visit to the museum just a couple of days ago really got me worked up about this. And if I had more time in between the time that I was there and thinking about this and the time I was recording, then I might not be as worked up about it, but it's very recent. So I figured I would just go for it. So this is going to be a crazy time, and you will feel the intensity while we have all those other layers that we discussed, and the changes that may come can have to do with, specifically for Cappies, things having to do with third and ninth house. That's where these eclipses are. I'll talk more about this, next month as well. And when you join my newsletter at anniehelpsyou.com, you actually have access to my eclipse resource page. In the welcome letter, you'll have the link for that. And then you can see more about how these eclipses may apply to you specifically. But, how you are taking in information and how you are putting out information may drastically change. And this is a process that's going on from the end of 2024 until the first half of 2027. And here we are now, or it's coming in. So the way that you learn, the way that you teach, the way that you talk, the way that you interact with other people, the way that you travel, the way that you move is all in this radical changing process right now. So if you resonate with how I teach and you want to learn astrology, go to beastropro.com, beastropro.com. I am multilingual and I see astrology as a language, and I teach a systematic approach to learning astrology, the art of it, the science of it, helping you develop your own art with a grounding in the science in my very comprehensive program. So you can go to beastropro.com, beastropro.com. You can go to Annie B. Clarity, Annie the letter B, clarity.com to see those personalized outer transit reports or outer planet transit reports, so you can see more about the general transits, but it will specifically also show you how those big stories are showing up for you. If you want to know more dates and you like sweet and salty dates, go to anniehelpsyou.com, sign up with your name and email address, and you will get the welcome letter that have so many goodies: my retrograde resource page, my eclipse resource page, my zodiac health tips. And then you can click on the archive button and put August 2025 astrology to get the newsletter, because I always send them out a month early so you have them for your planning purposes. And in that newsletter, about halfway down, I give you the sweet and salty dates, and then I expand upon my favorites and the ones to be most awareful and careful of in that second half of that very long newsletter. So I hope you have a wonderful month, fellow Cappy friends, and I will see you next month. Bye.